turn down the sound. And now we
Ladies
can
and
start the
gentlemen,
show.
welcome back, finally, to the Friday Nitro Review. I am Nick the Geek. I am joined, of course, by the king of wrestling media. I am joined by, now, stronger than death, just Jimmy Bebe, the Drip King himself. Jimmy, how the hell are you doing? Obviously, all things considered.
Doing better now. Sorry for no show last week, people. I was under the weather. I had surgery.
Jimmy nearly died.
We were meant to come back last week, but surgery called, and I did. But it didn't stop me from watching wrestling. So,
yeah,
take that, sucker.
Jimmy nearly died. Sorry we missed a week, but we're back now. We'll be back next week, and things are going to go rolling on. Well, we say we'll be back next week. It all depends on how life affects the pair of us.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Oh, and for future reference, I am disappearing for 2 weeks from the 24th of July.
This guy.
Yeah, well, I can't help it. My dad has to have surgery, so I have to go.
Yes. Life sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Right. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday Nitro Review. We are here to review Monday Nitro on the 20th of
my bad.
November?
Yeah, it was the November 20th, 1995 episode.
November 20th, 1995.
Where
this was a very quick show. This was a very quick show. Like, this started fast. This went fast. There was no middling about in between matches. There was only a couple of interview segments. Everything went pretty quickly. And there was one match which I really, really enjoyed. So we'll get to that in a minute. But we started off with the usual commentary team of Steve, Mongo, Michael, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Eric Bischoff talking about the pay-per-view quality main event that we are going to get tonight. We are getting Hogan versus Sting for the first time ever.
What a waste.
Well, absolute waste. Let's just put this,
WCW.
Yeah, put it on Nitro. Could have put it on World War III as like a qualifier to get into the match or something. But no, we give it away on Nitro. But anyway, the show starts off and let's go to my notes here. We start off with them bigging up the main event of Hogan versus Sting. Heenan says he's going to be doing something he's never done before in his life, which is going to be rooting for the Stinger because Hogan is a scumbag, which we all know.
Bobby.
Good man, Bobby. Rooting for the Stinger, and he hopes Hogan slips and falls and breaks his leg and can't make it to World War III, etc. We then go straight into our first match, which was a special rematch, and if I am right, Jim, lasted roughly 2 minutes.
It lasted, where are we at? 1 minute and 44 seconds.
There we go, just under 2 minutes. This was Scott Norton versus The Shark. Brian Tenter, God rest your soul. This was very quick. This was The Shark hitting that beautiful belly-to-belly suplex that he does. It's so good.
And then, mind blank, Scott Norton hit a beautiful power slam on. It was beautiful. Like, those two moves stuck out the most to me. Shark doing the pre-match attack to get the things going. For a quick match, absolutely do that. Get as much as you possibly can in. Yeah. I like this match. I don't care. Match length has never bothered me. If you know anything about me in wrestling matches, you know that that's the case. It's not the length.
I cite Goldberg versus Lesnar at SummerSlam. It was tremendous.
Yeah, like a short match can be a fun match, and this had the recipe for that. It was really fun.
Oh, this was loads of fun. This was just two big hossy dudes beating the snot out of each other for a short period of time. And that power slam / body slam that Scott Norton hits to win the match with was one. Shark's not a small man.
No, I when I saw it, I was like, oh, I knew Scott Norton had it in him, but it was like still impressive to see.
Yeah, it was
Scott Norton
impressive.
Mark, in case anyone didn't know that either.
Flash is a great wrestler. He was a great arm wrestler. He was a great wrestler in Japan, and I will fight anybody in the comments that disagrees.
He's a perfect 90s wrestler. Yes.
Yeah. But that was it. Basically, just really short. Went to a power slam finish. Beautiful belly to belly from the Shark. 1, 2, 3. Scott Norton wins. I don't think the feud's over because Shark kept saying one more time, me and you at the end.
Yeah.
I think they like working with each other at this point in their careers. I just think they both like working with each other because it gets them on TV. They have fun. Their matches are short. They don't get blown up.
It's been a nice background feud for the show.
Yeah.
I think it's been for an hour-long show to be able to get on it, for one thing, is always a blessing.
Exactly.
But I think they've maximized what they've been given, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, wrestling is all about maximizing your minutes, and that's exactly what these two have been doing. We then go to a Mean Gene segment on the stage. Mean Gene is with Jimmy Hart and the Taskmaster. Jimmy Hart is basically saying, "Come on, Stinger, you got it tonight. Hogan's got no Hulkamaniacs.
The Hulkamaniacs aren't behind him anymore, baby.
Nobody's behind him. This is your chance, Stinger." And obviously, we then cut straight over to Taskmaster, who cuts the most bumbling promo about World War III.
But there was moments where I think he didn't know what he was saying. Like, he had to stop, and it was like 4-second pause, and then he'd continue. It was like he had to like really. You saw the wheels spinning, and it's like, come on, bro, what is going on here?
The wheel was turning, but the hamster was dead.
Yeah,
it was not good. But basically, Taskmaster's promo it's just a big World War III. Talking about how can anyone beat the Dungeon of Doom? We have the advantage in numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm there going, not really. 63 guys, and there's 5 of you. That's all I kept thinking was.
But the idea is that nobody is friends with anybody, and it's just us.
Oh, true. True.
Yeah. So, wait, man. Sorry, Rattlesnake. We got someone in the comments. Boom.
Hello. Thank you for
quality over quantity. Bingo, bango. That's what I always say, baby. And he was the 90s. Scott Norton was the 90s prototype. Absolute.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, completely agree.
Sorry about that, man. I was zoned out there. I didn't even see the comments popping up. I was on a different.
Jimmy's on strong painkillers. You have to give him back.
I was on a different tab there.
Yeah. Basically, so that was the Mean Gene segment. They both call Hogan stupid. Heenan says Hogan can't win. Mongo says, and we are getting our first Steve Mongo McMichael line of the week.
I'm glad. I hope we're on the same page here, because I already had it lined up and ready.
I think we already have, which is Mongo's line of the week. If something smells as bad as my feet, Bobby Heenan,
boom,
and that is you. I might have misquoted that.
It was your opinions. I quote it down. Your opinions have a lot in common with my 2 feet. They both stink.
Yeah, that was it.
Mongo's line of the week. You get to stay another week, buddy.
This was tremendous. It made me laugh, which is all that matters. I have discovered one thing in the time we've been doing this show about Steve Mongo McMichael, because all I ever heard growing up was, yes, Mongo is a terrible wrestler. We can both admit to that. He was never good in the ring. But all I ever heard was he was a waste of space on commentary.
He's gotten better.
I totally disagree. I think Mongo is the levity that the commentary team needs from time to time. Yes, why he has that goddamn Chihuahua Pepe, I'll never know. All right, but as far as his interactions with Bobby, I think they're a good play off each other.
I think Mongo has progressed over the week. Like, the first few weeks, he was horrible. There's no excusing it. But he'd never done it before either. So he's literally learning on the job. And I think he has gotten better the more comfortable he's gotten. So at this point, it's not that he's earning his stripes every week. It is just funny to think, like, he was that awful to begin with.
Yeah.
And maybe he should have stayed on commentary, because, like, I don't mind him at this point. So
no, he's entertaining. It's fun.
And Rattlesnake, I liked him in retrospect too. Yeah, like I don't think I ever saw him growing up on commentary. No. I think he had become a wrestler by the time I was tuning in. So
that was the thing. You and I have both discussed. We didn't really watch Nitro.
Yeah, I didn't watch the first like almost a year. So
it was 96 when I first dialed in. So it was just when he was already in the Horseman by that point, if I remember correctly. So
but I will say this about the Chihuahua, because you hate that Chihuahua. My son came in because he's out of school now, and he came in and sat down on the couch and was watching some of this with me. And he goes, "What's that dog doing there?" I'm like, "That's his little pet that he puts in a costume every week. It's his little buddy." And then at the end, like when we get to the end of the show, there's a segment at the end. Spoiler alert, sorry, but it's just commentary stuff, so it doesn't matter. He doesn't have the dog, and my son was like, "Hey, where'd his dog go?" So there were people who were interested in that dog. So that's why he had it.
They were.
That's why he had it.
We then move on to what was undoubtedly Jimmy's favorite moment of the week. Because as per usual, Glenn Gilberti himself, Disco Inferno, decided to come out and just have a dance. because
promote his CD that I didn't know existed. I don't even know if it's real.
Did I, but apparently he was selling them out the back of his car for $45 before the show.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. How much?
$45 according
to Bobby. What a deal! I'll also say this. This could have also had a Mongo line of the week. It wasn't nearly as good, but he goes, man, why don't he just go away?
Yeah, that was good. I thought that was good too. Very entertaining. But as usual, this is like for some reason now. The only reason I can think this is happening is because we're building to an Eddie Guerrero Disco Inferno match. Because for some reason, Disco only does these I'm coming out to dance segments before two people come to the ring. So far, he has done it before Eddie has come to the ring, and he has done it before Road Warrior Hawk has come to the ring.
Yeah.
But this is the third time that he's done it before Eddie's entrance. And every time, Eddie gives him the same look when he comes out and interrupts him, which is just, what the hell are you doing?
So the album wasn't real. It was just a gimmick. I was about to eBay the heck out of that thing, baby.
Yeah, I was going to say that's depressing.
That's what I'm talking about. Rattlesnake knows what's up, man.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
But he comes out, he does his dance. Eddie's music hits. Eddie looks at him to say, what the hell are you doing? Get out of my time. Eddie comes down to the ring. You know it's going to be a good match. He's supposed to be wrestling Ric Flair. Ric Flair, music hits. Ric Flair comes out wearing street clothes, but he has Flying Brian Pillman with him. He gets to the ring. He says that the Jet's getting fueled by Crippler and Double A. The Hooters girls are ready. Which, fair enough. It was the 90s, people.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. If the Jet's getting fueled, Pillman's going to handle my busy work for me. And then we're going to celebrate after he gets the win. And
I would have never guessed that Chris Benoit knew how to fuel up a Jet.
Nope.
Pretty impressive. Little extra thing he has going there.
Arn Anderson can fly a plane.
Can he?
Yes.
I mean, I guess, yeah. That's some people learn to do that just for fun. Like, yeah. So I get that.
Arn Anderson was flying the plane when Ric Flair had his second plane crash. Arn was the one flying the Jet.
Maybe he can't fly a plane.
Well, he can legally fly a plane.
Maybe he can't, man.
he can legally fly a plane, Jim. He can legally fly a plane. But this leads to Eddie Guerrero versus Brian Pillman Jr. Brian Pillman. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of NXT lately. The match starts with a couple of slaps. Eddie takes over. Eddie takes earlier, comes off the top rope. Pillman cuts him off with a drop kick.
That was a beautiful mid-air drop kick too.
Yeah, it was great.
Yes.
It was absolutely great. Then the commentary take 2 minutes to promote Hogan versus Sting again in the middle of the match. It's great, good work, back and forth. Really nice power slam from Pillman on Eddie halfway through the match.
Yeah.
Like a nice rotation power slam.
Yes, it was a Randy Orton-esque.
Yes, it was. It really was. Which I actually refer to as a Samoa Joe-esque.
That's fair.
Or a Dustin Rhodes-esque, depending on how old you are.
Yeah. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. Pillman takes a bump to the floor. Eddie rails him. Then Eddie flies, to quote Bobby Heenan, like Clark Kent / Superman, just comes off the ring post, dives about 15 feet to land perfectly on Brian on the entranceway. And I think Brian tried to rib him by stepping back a few extra feet. But Eddie reaches him anyway.
Yeah.
He gets him back in the ring.
Brian Pillman missed him first. He went for the double axe handle and hit the railing.
Yeah, and hit the gnarly bump. It was
Let me show you how to do it, pal. And he flew. Yeah.
Eddie comes in the ring. He hits the brain buster, goes upstairs to the frog splash, takes a little bit too much time. Brian climbs the ropes, goes to the superplex. Eddie shoves him off, then hits the frog splash on Brian, rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Eddie Guerrero beats Brian Pillman Jr.
Whoa!
Which at this point might be Eddie's biggest single win.
Yes.
On Nitro, I think. And which shows that Bischoff really saw something in him.
I was going to bring this up because for all the crap that people give Bischoff for things, that man believed in Eddie Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
And like to look at it back then in the land that they lived in with professional wrestling, the state of the business, for Eric Bischoff to look at Eddie Guerrero and say there's something with this guy to the point where he's going to put him on TV weekly.
Yeah,
which is a big deal back then because
especially when, as you said, the show's only an hour longer.
Yes, to get him on that show weekly and then to push him the way he did, like he clearly saw something in Eddie when maybe no one else did. It took WWE how long before they were like, "Oh, we have something here."
3 years.
I think Bischoff saw it like from the get-go. It just was hard to get him to that level. He had to progressively move him up, and
yeah.
I do think if Eddie would have stayed in WCW and Bischoff would have stayed in charge, Eddie Guerrero would have been a WCW World Champion at one point. I do think that would have happened. I think it just
I think he'd have probably won instead of Benoit, to be honest.
I don't know, because Eddie was still there, wasn't he?
No.
It wasn't long before that because they all showed up together.
2 weeks.
I don't think it would have been Eddie, but I do think Eddie should have got there before Benoit.
I agree.
I'll say that.
Just for time served alone.
Well, and just, I mean, I think Eddie's better than Benoit. Overall, that's
Chris Benoit is a phenomenal technical wrestler.
Yeah,
Eddie Guerrero is the total package, or was. God rest his soul, was the total package in professional wrestling. He could do everything.
I know it's crazy to speak ill of Benoit in this time of age, but I mean, we're just speaking of it in retrospect based on what we were watching in the 90s.
Yes.
Long before anyone knew who he was, really.
Before he became Murder McMurderson.
He was a great wrestler, and I don't think I've ever heard a conversation about it where people compare the two or tier the two, like who's better than who. And I think Eddie was better than Benoit. So
I agree.
I do think he would have been a champion had Bischoff stayed in charge. I just think he took too long.
That seems to be how it went.
Yeah.
We now, after this match, we go to a flashback to last week when the Dungeon of Doom were beating down Randy Savage to take out his arm, brother. And Lesnar just slamming him to the ring post. Go.
Eddie Guerrero and Brian Pillman was 6 minutes and 27 seconds. So that's like the normal TV time. Normal TV
good
time.
length for a TV match. But yeah, we go to a flashback to last week where the Dungeon of Doom, after Randy Savage beats Ming, are absolutely slamming his arm all over the place. And they are talking about how Bischoff is talking about how Hogan can't really trust Savage. Because when Savage signed with WCW, he said he had one goal and one goal only, which is to become World Heavyweight Champion. So have you ever seen World War III, Jimmy?
I've not seen this one, no.
Right.
But I'm watching it this week. I will be watching it this week.
Right. Well, I will shut up because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I will be watching it.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week. But Bischoff's talking about how he can't trust Savage, but Savage might not even make it to the match because his arm is so messed up. A random fact, his arm was actually a bit messed up at this point, and for the next 6 months, you will see Randy wearing a big sleeve and bandages on his arm.
Okay.
Because it was a little bit screwed. I think he tore his bicep and just didn't want to go in for surgery because it wasn't a major tear. We then go in to match number 3, which was kind of a waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but
it is what it is. It was Big Bubba Rogers, the former Big Boss Man, versus Road Warrior Hawk in his full Legion of Doom gear. Because Animal at this point is still nowhere to be found. I can't be bothered going into the long, sordid details of why Animal and Hawk broke up. It's a very long story that involves Japan. It involves Hawk using the Road Warrior name without animals. Anyway, right, I'll end up ranting on for about an hour about this, so I'll just leave it and carry on. But this was your standard walk and brawl to start the match, which is the standard Hawk affair. Just a walk and brawl, lots of punches, lots of strikes. Bubba kept reaching his pocket for something, but kept not having the time because Hawk kept cutting him off. Hawk goes for a big splash. Bubba finally reaches into his pocket, gets a roll of quarters, tapes them onto his hand. Then somebody who I believe was Van Hammer.
It was Jim Duggan.
Was it Jim Duggan? I thought because of the hair, I thought it was Van Hammer.
Yeah, it was Jim Duggan because I think Heenan said, "Damn Duggan!" It was Jim Duggan.
Yeah, trips Big Bubba Rogers. Bubba Rogers lands on his own hand in the roll of quarters, which I actually kind of enjoyed. I thought that was
it was a nice touch to a match that I was not interested in. Like I saw that spot and I was like, okay, that's a cool little finish.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was a good finish. But Big Bubba, That was it. He hits his own roller quarters, hits his own fist. Hawk rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Hawk wins. Rolls off going, I told you I was back. It's like
my problem
really?
with this match. My problem with the match is we already had two big beefy boys beating each other up in the first match. And then we're going to do it again at the end of the show in a feud that, like, I remember seeing them having issues like weeks ago.
Yeah.
But what has happened since then? I'm curious if things have happened on Saturday Night Live or Saturday Night Main Event, my bad. And not even Saturday Night Main Event. Just Saturday night.
WCW Saturday night.
There you go. Too many Saturday night shows. But I've praised them in the past for how they've done the packages to let me know like what's going on. Like they just did it with the Macho Man thing but since Macho Man wasn't involved, I feel like that would have been an opportunity to kind of show what the Bubba Rogers Hawk feud was and how it got to where it's got now.
Yeah,
I think that would have been a better use of their time. As a nitpick, I'm not gonna like deduct points.
Yeah, but Jim, we're here to nitpick.
I get it. I just don't like doing it to an extent, and the match itself just kind of was like filler. That's what it felt like, just filler. And
unfortunately,
if it wasn't for the clever finish, I probably would have been mad that this was on the show.
Well. Just to show you, there is my usual amount of notes for a match on Eddie Guerrero.
There we go.
That's my notes for the Hawk and Bubba match.
I don't even remember any like spots from the match, other than the finish. Like so that
I just remember Hawk missing the big splash off the top rope. That was it.
So that's what the match was.
It was pretty much just punches and clotheslines.
No,
other than that was it.
So when I look at. Hold on. I was going to say, when I look at the dark matches, you had the American males taking on the Barrio brothers. You had the TV championship. John B. Bad facing Diamond Dallas Page again on a dark match.
Again.
And then Dave Sullivan defeated not Kevin Nash, the Gambler. I feel like you could have probably done the American males versus the Barrio brothers here instead. Yeah, like, because why not?
Or for the sake of it, put the TV title on TV.
Yeah, but I mean that match has been played out to death at this point, so it's like
yeah, but not on TV.
It happened on TV and on pay-per-view. It happened on TV.
Yeah, but the one on TV lasted 13 seconds.
I don't think the tag team division has gotten enough shine on Nitro yet. That's kind of why I feel like
it really hasn't.
Yeah, it's been tag title matches, and I think that's it. So, or it was singles people put together in tag teams, and it wasn't really tag team. It wasn't the tag team division. So I feel like this would have been a great spot for the American males because I mean they're good looking dudes in the '90s, and you wanted to push that. So why not have them on there getting a win right before the main event? I feel like that would have been a better use of their time. But I agree. You had Road Warrior Hawk. I know he was a big deal back in the day. So. This is just hindsight speaking.
It was a waste of nothing match. It was there. But we then move on to our main event. Now, due to the fact of the way, because they cancelled the network over here, the way I have to currently watch WCW Nitro on certain YouTube channels, I missed the main event. I got Sting's entrance. So I know that Sting came out wearing red and yellow.
I loved it. And I was like, this little troll, bro.
And Heenan adored it.
Yeah.
Because I got Sting's full entrance. And then my feed stopped. The one match I was looking forward to, because if anybody knows anything about me, I am the biggest Sting mark in the universe. I was really looking forward to the first time Sting and Hogan locked up. I didn't get to see it. Jimmy, what happened?
So, Hulk Hogan's music hits, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. And then Macho Man comes out in a sling. And it's like, what? And you think maybe he's hyping him up to bring him out. You're like, what's going on? And Hulk Hogan never comes out. Then you come from the back. Hulk Hogan slides in the ring from behind. I won't even call him Hulk Hogan at this point. I will call him the Phantom of the Hogan because he's still wearing that stupid mask.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
He's wearing the Phantom of the Opera mask.
When we are done, take a look at the thumbnail. That's what he was wearing when he slid into the ring.
I will look at it now.
So he slides in and he's like, hyping up things, and Sting's just looking at Macho Man still like, come on, where's the Hulkster? All this. And then all of a sudden, Hogan doesn't even attack him. He just taps him on the shoulder or some nonsense like that. And Sting turns around and the match starts.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, he's still wearing... He takes the mask off for the match. Like, he doesn't wear it to the match. I wish he would have, but he didn't.
I kind of wish he did as well.
Yeah. So, nothing crazy happens in the match. It's usually your typical Hulk Hogan Sting affair. They wrestle enough later on through the years. You get an idea of how their match goes. And this is why I say it was a waste.
Clothesline.
Yeah. It's why I say it was a waste to even do this, because it was like, you're doing this on a Nitro. It's the first time ever. Come on, brother. That doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, Sting has him in the Scorpion Deathlock, and Hogan just kicks out of it.
What?
He just kicks his legs back, and Sting has to let go, and then turns around, and Hulk's just hulking up. And he starts the Hulk up. He goes for the stuff. Nothing really exciting happens. Again, he kicked out of the Scorpion Deathlock, and he hulked up, so it was like, okay, this is Hogan. But then they just go back and forth with each other. Hogan hits the big boot. He goes for the leg drop. I think he missed. And then some way or another, Hogan ends up back in the Scorpion Deathlock. And he's fighting it, and he's trying to get to the ropes, and he's fighting. And he goes, I can't take any more, brother. The ref is like checking on him, and he can't take it. And then the Dungeon of Doom shows up and start fighting him. And then Sting and Hulk Hogan start fighting together. They fight off the Dungeon of Doom. The Giant comes in. He goes for the double choke slam. They fight that off. They fight him, and then they double clothesline him over the top, just to promote World War III a little bit more, because that's how you get eliminated.
Yeah.
And then they stand tall. The Giant is furious, and we go to commercial break.
Okay.
There's they don't even tease any tension or like I would have liked to see Hogan and Sting maybe bump into each other and then kind of get face to face, just to tease that tension a little bit more. They didn't. Again, they went to commercial break. And then when we get back from commercial break, the Dungeon of Doom is at the commentary, and they're shaking Bobby Heenan. They break his headset. Mongo's like saying, get out of here. And the dog's gone. That's when my son was like, where'd the little puppy go? And that's the show.
Right, and that was WCW Nitro on the 20th of November, 1995. Yeah.
So that match went 9 minutes and 31 seconds.
Was that including the Dungeon of Doom attack, or
it says ended in a no contest 9 minutes and 31 seconds. So I imagine the match actually was 9 minutes 30, because it wasn't a quick match. It wasn't. They literally did go back and forth with each other. But this adds to my gripe with the match prior, the Road Warrior and Hawk one. You could have shaved probably 4 minutes off this if it was going to end up in a no contest. Easily. And if Dungeon of Doom was just going to spoil it, you could have shaved that time off, added it to the match before, and gave us that tag team match.
Yeah.
This was stupid booking. This was booking. Man, I hate to use this term. This is the kind of stuff Tony Khan does, where he's just throwing people on a card to get them on a card, as opposed to putting together a show that helps build the entire...
has a coherent storyline and builds everything effectively.
Like, I just don't feel the need for a Road Warrior Hawk Big Bubba match.
No.
If it's like, it didn't make sense to me. And the tag team division, like, give them shine. Like, why are we not? Like,
you guys, they have Harlem Heat. Now, Harlem Heat are on WCW Saturday Night a lot at this point.
Yeah.
And as we both discussed, Saturday Night is still kind of the flagship show.
Yeah.
But I feel like Nitro is slowly being pushed now as the flagship show.
The tides are turning, and even if you're not going to include your tag team champions, the tag team division should be getting something.
Yeah.
Because if not, when it happens, I'm just not as invested. It's like, oh, they're here. They'll be gone next week. So
yeah,
this is a crack showing to me. Like, they have to fix that, because that's silly. And eventually they do, because the tag team division ends up being really fun in W.
It ends up being great.
Yeah, but early on, like, that's probably a gripe that I have, is the tag division just Again, not the tag champs. This is tag division. Just
no, the division gets no shine.
Where is it? Like,
yeah.
And they had some good. I don't know if they have any good tag teams at this point, but they do have Harlem Heat.
They've got Harlem Heat.
Yeah, and the American males were supposed to be getting pushed like crazy because again, I know he was very high on Bagwell.
Scotty and Bagwell are a good team.
Yeah, and he was high on Bagwell, so I just don't get it. It just doesn't make sense. So that's my gripe. If I'm gonna nitpick, that's it. Shave time off, get rid of Road Warrior Hawk and Big Bubba, add that tag match, and let them have a tag team match.
I agree.
So
I completely agree.
They did a lot of also. I will also say they did a lot of that other show is on commercial break. This is where the action's at a lot tonight.
Yeah, they mentioned Luger jumping from WWF. Yeah. They mentioned everything else. Bischoff also teasing at World War III that somebody could show up.
Yeah,
that we've never seen before. Which, by the way, surprise, surprise, Jim, doesn't happen.
Yeah, this is probably the most. I won't even call them shots, but that's what people refer to them as. This is probably the most shots I've heard in one episode so far.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I feel like this is Bischoff like really starting to poke the bear.
Yeah, as much as he can at this point. Yeah. Well, it's not long now till Medusa shows up. So
good deal.
Yeah,
that'll be a fun moment.
Yeah, it will. Right, but ladies and gents, that was WCW Nitro on November 20th, 1995. I have been Nick the Geek. He has been Jimmy Bebe.
Grade.
We are been two geeks.
We gotta do the grade. Yes, I gotta do the grade. I'm gonna give it a C+ because I mean Hogan and Sting. It's a great way to promote your show. I still think it's a stupid thing to do.
I agree.
And it's not like they just did it. I guess this is kind of the bittersweet part of it because I say they should have made it shorter, but they didn't give us a short match between them. They actually gave us a Hogan and Sting match, so I can't knock them for that. The Eddie Guerrero and Brian Pillman match was great. Scott Norton and the Shark was great. They didn't the Dungeon of Doom like interview and then the attack, as opposed to the previous few weeks where the timing of it just seemed weird because it was like they were spaced out too far.
Yeah,
it made sense tonight because they didn't show up at all until the end. Other than Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan, who are the mouthpieces. So it made sense. So that was good. But, man, that Road Warrior Hawk Big Bubba really kind of killed the momentum of the show. So C+ is all I can really give it.
I wouldn't even give it a plus, mate. For me, it's a C.
That's
solid C
fair.
show.
Fair. Scott Norton the Shark put it to a C+.
Scott Norton the Shark was great fun. Eddie Pillman was great fun.
Yeah.
The rest of the show, But I've been at the Geek. He has been Jimmy Bebe. We are but two geeks obsessed with a good show, and our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. If you like what we do here at the Friday Nitro Reviews, if you enjoy the content we put out, please leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm knows we exist, and give us a follow on Spotify. Because we are there. We are doing our best. All right. So, see you next week.
Toodles.